And welcome back to another episode of Debt Nation, where we are busy putting death out of business. And first, I want to thank Thrivous. You know the deal. $5 all the way up to $160 worth of free Thrivous every time you share the link around. More nootropics and geoprotectors. Thanks very much, Thrivous. Also, I Am Transhuman. David Kelly giving out more information on that website all the time. So we want to thank David Kelly for sponsoring this episode. Now we're going to cross over for an Africa update, coronavirus Africa update. We had an update from Esq.Orji on a couple of weeks ago on pertaining to Nigeria, but now we're going to get a generic Africa update on the coronavirus and how they're handling coronavirus in Africa. Mr. Orji, how are you?
I'm fine.
That's
fine.
really
I'm
good.
very
How are
good.
you holding up? I know you were prepared last time we spoke. You had resources and food and stuff, and you were ready for the lockdown. How is that going?
It is going very well. We didn't anticipate that it would take it will get up to this extent,
Of course,
And
yeah.
however, we are holding on. We are holding on, and um, it hasn't been easy, and it hasn't been easy for everyone in this period. But we will
Absolutely.
overcome.
Absolutely, will overcome, and it's good to see you looking well. And your friend, my friend, our friend, mutual friend, Esq.Orji, he's doing a great job with an organization called TAFS, Transdisciplinary Agora for Future Discussions. That's coming up very soon, the 21st, I think, right? You're on the panel. Do you want to quickly tell the people what what to look forward to for that speech, that panel discussion?
Yes, I look forward to a successful conference. I look forward to an educative conference, not just where we'll come and speak grammar and talk, live in creed, but where our spoken words um, we practicalize it outside the conference. We'll take it to the streets, to our communities, and we'll put it in practice. So, in general, I look forward to a successful conference.
Absolutely, and I look forward to seeing there. It's in 10 days, 14 hours, 17 minutes, and 28 seconds, that conference is. And so we very much look forward to the conference indeed. All right, so let's talk coronavirus in Africa. You lead on the charge on this because you're right up there. How many cases in Africa as a whole, on the continent, and what countries has coronavirus got to so far?
I think it's not up to 3,000. I think it's 2,000. And currently in Nigeria, yesterday we had about 350 cases already. About 55 people have been discharged. 7 people we have recorded, 7 fatality. 7 people have died, and so far that's what we have in Nigeria. And the situation has not actually spread to every state. Just some states are living with the virus. Some states, like my state, where I come from, I stay in Lagos, but where I come from Abia State. We don't have in Abia State. They don't have anything like that for now. And the same thing with other states in Nigeria. So it's not so prevalent in Nigeria. Just that in some states we have it more. We is ravaging in some states. Like here currently in Lagos, we have up to 150 cases in Lagos. Lagos seems to be the hotbed of coronavirus in Nigeria, and it's not surprised that Lagos have the highest number of coronavirus cases, because Lagos is the commercial hub of Nigeria and commercial hub of West Africa.
And so you think the transmission is coming from being imported from commercial interaction with the external world, is it?
Yes, it's from external world. Most of the cases that we have had are returnees from UK, United States of America, and China. So the
Uh,
problem, the mistake that we made, Nigerians made, and most African countries made, because we had ample time to learn from the situation in Europe, in China, and in America. um, we failed to quarantine these guys, the returnees from UK and from US. We failed to quarantine them, 14 days quarantine. We should have done it. It should have been a government effort by government to quarantine these people. Anybody coming from this highly infected country should have been quarantined for 14 days. Well, there should have been maybe a hospital, a place where they are quarantined before they are let to go to their different houses. But that was not the case. The case, well, what we had here was these people were allowed to go to their houses, and they were told to isolate themselves, self-isolation. And um, this did not work pretty well. And it was actually our greatest undoing. It was our greatest undoing because the cases we have had, fewer cases of people being infected in Nigeria here. People that most of the people that have the case are people returnees from other countries. And as you know, Nigerians, we have about 200 million population, thriving population, and Nigerians, we travel a lot, and Nigerians, we are all over the places.
so why did the government allow that scenario to unfold? What was the thinking behind self isolation as opposed to a mandatory isolation? Is it budget? Is it not thinking properly? Was it commercial reasons? What was the main driver of that silly policy?
I think they were not proactive enough. It's not because they don't have the necessary resources to carry it out. They have it. After all, they have spent more on trying to curtail it now, currently, on trying to treat infected people. They they had the resources and they could have done better, but they didn't do it. I think they were not proactive enough.
Right. Okay. And it's interesting because we talked last time, and Nigeria was one of the success stories in defeating Ebola. So I thought you would think that a country with this sort of great experience and this sort of great they managed to defeat and help defeat Ebola. They would have maybe a better idea than a lot of other countries on how to handle this crisis.
Okay, I think we have to give the devil his own due. I think in trying to discredit their effort or in trying to criticize, we must also, they say you should commend the commendables and condemn the condemnables. Currently, I think there are good things that the government have done, especially the Lagos State government. Lagos State government have tried in a high extent.
We'll get Mr. Orji back in a second. His internet
Um,
sometimes does this.
Lagos State within 10 days. Yeah, the Lagos State within 10 days were able to come up with build more than 200 seaters isolation center. It's something to commend. And Lagos State, they are really doing very well. I don't think the fatality rate, the death we have recorded in Lagos State is no more than two. It's no more than two among the 7 people that have died. And if you look at it and look at what is happening in other countries, we have only recorded 7 deaths. Though I'm not saying we should be happy about that, but at least it's something we can say, okay, we have tried in a great scale to actually defeat this virus. But we have had about 50 something people being discharged. This is also a success story. And I think with greater synergy, the success story we record in Ebola will be repeated. But I think what we are saying is like Oliver Twist, we want more. We could have done better. And Nigeria we practice federalism, and a lot of things fall, a lot of responsibilities, this responsibility fall on the door of the federal government, and the federal government to a high extent have not been living up to the expectation. They have not been living up to the expectation. However, some other states like Lagos State government, component states have been trying. The component states have been trying. Much kudos to the Lagos State government. Much kudos to the governor of Lagos State, led by Sanwo-Olu. And we are starting to get a replay of what happened in 2014, how Lagos State government dealt with Ebola on behalf of other West Africa. It was a case study. Everybody have to come to learn from Lagos, and they are actually doing wonderfully very well when in this virus. They are doing very well.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to commend them where you can, and it's doing much better than say New York, which is it's going terrible at the moment. So so that is really good. I was just commenting and questioning on the initial response. I think the initial response is something very important. We in Australia. We're a little bit slow to act, but we eventually shut all our borders down. We have internal quarantining times between states. We have non-essential travel banned. We have non-essential services banned. Is that the same sort of thing that you have there? All your businesses shut, non-essential businesses. Is it a state-by-state basis? How about international travel or travel between different African countries? What's happening there on the movement? Is your movement being restricted as citizens of Nigeria?
Yes, currently we have traveling transportation system, international travel, both international travel, and to a high scale. Look, interstate travel has been put on a halt currently. There's a total lockdown. Businesses have been shut down. Social gathering for no more than 20 people currently especially in Lagos State, in the Federal Capital Territory, and in Ogun State. These are the states worst hit by this virus. There's a total lockdown in these three states. We have also the government especially in Lagos State government, Lagos here, are not taking it lightly with anybody who opens his business or social gatherings. We have had a celebrity, a popular Nollywood actress, being convicted for holding a party for her husband and inviting more than 20 people for that party. The next day, she was arrested, and she and her husband was arrested. We are arrested, and we are charged to court. They pleaded guilty, and they were sentenced to community service. And this just to demonstrate that the Lagos State government are not taking it serious, and they are very, very serious about it. And but we have a problem. The problem that we have here is religious fanaticism. We have some religious bodies have not fully complied with it, most especially outside Lagos, not within Lagos. We have had issues, people coming up, excavating conspiracy theory that 5G network is responsible for that, and a lot of things. And in Africa, we are highly religious. We are very, very religious, especially in Nigeria. And a lot of people are fanatics, main fanatics. And being that a lot of churches, mosque activities have been put on hold, and some of these religious leaders are misinforming their members instead of them to help the government to curtail this virus, to tell their members to be law abiding. They are not doing this. They are not doing that. They are doing the opposite. They are telling their members all sorts of lies, and we have issues where in the north, where we have experienced rioting because an imam was arrested that held a religious gathering, albeit the instruction from the state government. And currently, some states, especially the Rivers State, some states, though they have not really recorded much cases of coronavirus, have insisted on going ahead with Easter program. Churches are to be open, and I think it's foolhardy. It's foolhardy. We should not allow the experience, the Italian, the situation in Italy, in UK, in United States of America to happen in Nigeria before we learn. It's foolhardy, it's stupid for any governor, for any leader, for any religious leader to encourage his or her members to go ahead with their normal duties. It's very, very stupid, and it's very, very responsible. I think this is time for us to sacrifice. Most of us left closed down our businesses for more than 14 days. We lawyers, we are not going to court. A lot of things have been put on hold. We should not allow the effort that we have recorded or the sacrifice we have made so far to go down the drain. It's stupid and is irresponsible.
Wow, yeah, that's it's interesting. The United States was also grappling with some problems with religious folk who wanted to open up the churches on Easter, especially Easter being a very big Christian holiday, of course. So yeah, I can understand that. But are they adopting? Are these churches adopting virtual? Are they going online? Are they doing anything online? Or is the technological infrastructure just not there to get the rump of the parish, online?
Yes, most of the churches, I also have to commend a lot of religious leaders over here in Nigeria, because some few people have not complied does not mean other people have not also complied. We have plethora of them that have complied, and a lot of them have switched on to online services. We have it. We have it. I think it's just being stupid. A lot of people are just trying to be mischievous and irresponsible.
Interesting. And how is it going with the financial side of things? What's the government doing about rent? What's the government doing about, because if you're going to lock down the population and keep them at home, do the people have resources to stay at home if they're not working? Is the government providing subsidies for renters or house owners? Is the government aid in that way to help people and assist people staying at home?
Okay. If the truth of the matter is the government are not doing enough when it comes to social palliatives. They are not doing enough, and they are not doing enough. They have not done anything significant. We have heard of money being distributed, foodstuff being distributed, and we cannot actually verify it. And some of these government officials have seen this opportunity as an avenue to loot, to embezzle money, and that has been the story in Africa, especially in Nigeria, and that is a sad one.
Yeah, because it's people's lives and their health is at risk and at stake. And, if it could overwhelm the hospital systems, and then people with conventional diseases, treatable diseases, can die as well. So it can lead to needless deaths. And I hope that the government will, provide stimulus to the people, the common people who need assistance at this time, especially when there is no work. It's hard to generate an income when there is no work because the government has shut down your business. This is not very fair, and hopefully it doesn't lead to a swelling of homeless in Nigeria. I think this would not be a good idea. This doesn't bode well for the longevity of Nigeria. So we can stay optimistic and hope that the Nigerian government, the state, local governments provide more in terms of assistance to everyday folk who have been impacted by no fault of their own because of this COVID-19 crisis.
Yes, yes. That's absolutely on point. That's what the responsibility every responsible government should do. The Lagos state government have started. They have done. They have rolled out some palliatives, but they are not good enough. I must say it. On that argue, they are not good enough. What they have done is not good enough. And the federal government have also done something, but they are not good enough. And when it comes to the federal government, the identity of the people that are beneficiary for these palliatives can't be verified, and we a lot of people are living in pains, and a lot of Nigerians live in subsistence living, day-to-day living, and it's really, really scorching. It's a scorching time for them, and it will get to a time, because I heard in South Africa that some people have started looting shops, to get to a time where it will lead to uprising, because hunger kills. Hunger kills too. It's not only coronavirus that kills. Hunger kills, and we should get this thing and to our head, and stop it before there is an uprising, because people can't be shut down forever. You can't shut people more for another 1 week or 2 weeks without providing a source of livelihood for them.
Yeah.
Or yes.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, let's talk about China and the events in China pertaining to the treatment being given to Africans by their host nation. So, let's talk about that. You've got some very interesting things to say about that.
Yes, the problem, the situation in China is such that scorches the mind and sickens the conscience. Is highly despicable. Is not something that should be behold, especially coming from a country that is trying to be the world power, or is one of the world powers. Uh, China has investments and has citizens littered all over Africa. um the manner in which China have treated or handled Africans is very bad. We live in 21st century, for goodness sake. Nobody should be treated so badly like that. Nobody should be treated as a refuse bin. Nobody should be treated badly. We have Chinese restaurants here in Nigeria. Do you know that Chinese restaurants in Nigeria, they don't even allow Nigerians to come there and eat? And Nigerians are so tolerable. We are very tolerant, and we just allow them to be. And we don't, here in Nigeria, we tend to treat foreigners more than we treat our good, and that's how Nigerians are. I bet our faults and um our everything that have been said about us. We have plethora of Indians here in Nigeria. They live unhindered. Nigeria is a place where you come, you don't want to go again, because the people here are friendly. And the same thing with all over Africa, and the way Africans treat especially the Chinese citizens. We don't deserve to be treated badly in China. We don't deserve, Africans don't deserve to animals are better treated than the kind of treatment we are receiving in China. It's uncalled for. It's uncalled for. And we have Chinese company in Nigeria and they are making billions, billions of billions from Africa. Why should we be receiving that kind of treatment? And I know we in Africa, our problem is, yeah, is with our leadership, because we have some crop of irresponsible leaders. I don't know they sh- uh, why they will not call China. I don't know why they should not, where they cannot call China to order. They cannot treat South Americans the same way they are treating Africa, and they can't treat any other body, any other people from other continents the way they are treating Africa. So why Africa?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And is China helping you with the coronavirus affair? I mean, it did begin in Wuhan. This is a Chinese virus in a way. Trump said it. So is the Chinese government helping Nigeria? Is Alibaba helping Nigeria? Are you getting resources from any Chinese entities to assist Nigeria at this time?
Oh yes, we have gotten some resources, some test kits and other stuff from Jack Ma, the richest man in China. We have also, of recent, Nigerians saw the assistance of some Chinese doctors, about 18 Chinese doctors. Though Nigerians resisted it, because that one is uncalled for. We don't need it. The only thing that Africa, the Nigerian doctor.
It's unneeded. It's uncalled for.
So yes, yes, it's uncalled for, because the only thing Nigerian needs now is, Nigerian doctors need. We have good doctors here. They only need good pay, good equipment, and respect. We
Yeah.
don't need any Chinese doctors for anything. Nigerians can handle it. Our doctors are doing wonderfully very well.
All right. Well, thank you for providing us with an update of what's going on in Africa in terms of COVID-19. What's happening in outside of Nigeria? Is there any big news? Anything we should know quickly before we wrap up?
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Hello.
here, Esq.Orji. So, is there anything else we should know before we wrap up about Africa and coronavirus?
Uh, yes. I think our leaders should step up their game, and we should be more patient. Our leaders should provide perspective to our citizens, to African countries, and we should see this thing as a challenge, and uh, come together. I think we should come together, form a synergy, a strong synergy to combat it. I think we have all the solutions. If we are responsible enough, we can get through over this period. And the most important thing is, we have to provide palliatives to our citizens, because people are really suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thank you very much for your time, Esq.Orji. And we'll talk to you very soon about more about coronavirus in Africa, and talk to Esq.Orji as well. And I really look forward to seeing you at the TAFS conference coming up very, very soon. So we want to thank you very much. And thank you for coming on Det Nation today. And we will see you
Okay.
soon, Esq.Orji. It's always good to talk to you and update us with what's happening in Africa, and their relationship with the external world as well. Very interesting. And you stay safe. You stay very safe. Thank you for making sacrifices to help humanity and the Nigerian good as well by staying in your home, staying isolated, being prepared. We really appreciate it. And you stay safe, all right? And I'll see you in the conference soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's thank you very much, Mr. Orji.
Bye. Oh, bye.
All right. So that's Mr. Orji there. I want to thank him for coming on Debt Nation. We're busy putting death out of business. I want to thank everyone for supporting Debt Nation to keep Debt Nation on the air so we can have conversations like this with Mr. Orji and others. But it's very good to know what's happening in Africa and see different perspectives of how different people around the world are responding to COVID-19. Very, very interesting stuff. All right, thanks everybody for watching Debt Nation. I'll catch up with you very soon. Dan Elton coming on the show soon to talk about Foresight Institute and AI safety. So looking forward to that. So get excited for that. All right, thanks everybody. That's Debt Nation, where we're busy putting death